Okay,
violated?
reality check time. Yesterday did actually happen. I ditched school with Rachel Amber, and then Rachel really did start that fire.
Well, this is the most obvious recap I've ever heard. Yes, Chloe, I too like to inner monologue and remind myself of the previous day's activities, especially when those days take the form of bi-monthly episodes.
We agreed that you would rededicate yourself to becoming an exemplary Blackwell citizen.
Don't you mean student? Blackwell is not a country.
Despite all this, you engaged in the following actions yesterday. Implications of possible drug-related activities. It means Miss Price has developed a reputation as a user of marijuana.
Oh no, the dreaded M word, the drug that has never once caused the death of anybody who's ever used it and is only illegal because it's not native to the United States. Whatever will we do?
Witnesses saying you were involved in bullying Nathan Prescott.
The hell I was. I stood up for that little weirdo.
I suppose that's one interpretation of events.
Actually, that's exactly what happened. There's really no room to interpret a fact.
Maybe you should be talking to Drew instead of me. You know, the guy who actually did what you're accusing me of.
Mr. North's situation requires sensitivity. It will be handled separately.
Translation, he's on the football team and makes us look good. You're a poor outcast, therefore you don't matter. In the previous episode, Rachel practically burned down an entire park because she was upset that she caught her dad cheating on his wife. Yet, here they all are in the same room together, and instead of using this perfect opportunity to expose her dad, she just makes up an excuse as to why she ditched class with Chloe. And she won't call out her dad until the end of the episode. Guess you gotta drag out the drama somehow.
Though Chloe may not have been the mastermind of yesterday's events, it was, as I prefaced, the proverbial last straw. In light of your many past transgressions, I have no choice but to suspend you for the rest of the year.
Haha, you see that? I just broke continuity in my alternate playthrough by getting Chloe suspended instead of expelled. Now, if Rachel doesn't turn out to have the time-traveling powers, explain that, game.
Just you and me. Hey, Skip?
Fuck 'em. Bunch of fascists.
Says the guy who is currently working as a security guard. Do you understand what the word fascist means? Because I don't think you do. That's a few $100s you just threw away. Ah yes, much symbolism, Chloe. Tagging the same bathroom where you're gonna die in like 3 years. Subtlety is certainly not your specialty. But what's more sinful is how all this tagging clearly took a lot of time, yet when all is said and done, Skip never suspects a thing. This awkward hug is basically Elliot's character arc in this game, and cemented himself as a permanent resident of the friend zone.
Someone needed my help.
Who? Your friend Rachel? Because I think the daughter of the DA is going to be just fine.
Did we not just have a conversation about being selfless like 10 seconds ago?
Soldiers put family and future above self and now.
It's about the three of us having a home together.
It'll be better than you think, Chloe. Once everything's running smoothly, you'll see what a stable home can be like.
Yeah, she already knows what that's like. She had it throughout her entire childhood. Come to think about it, why does Chloe even have this conversation with David in the first place? She still hates him and Life is Strange, meaning their relationship never progressed. So this entire family therapy subplot is a complete waste of time. How does Chloe have anything to smoke if she emptied her pockets earlier? Did she use her MacGyver skills to conjure up a cigarette? I don't think the developers of this game understand how a junkyard works. You don't dispose of an operational vehicle with the tires intact. In fact, all this truck needs is a battery and a few extra tweaks and it's good to go, which she conveniently finds in this plot vehicle. Speaking of which, why would anyone bring a practically new vehicle to a junkyard, even if it does have a wheel clamp and a missing door? Do the police not have their own impoundment lot? Life is Strange all of a sudden turns into a hobo version of Pimp My Ride. Chloe uses a flip phone in the year 2010.
Listen, we've got some business to discuss.
We have much to discuss, cliche. Yep. Day 1 of Rachel's rage and the fire is still burning yet hasn't spread. Flashback within a dream, cliche. Har har, fatally D. Ravens, they symbolize your prophecy. They will bring you nothing but misery, cause you are a Chloe. There is a disturbing lack of chocolate and graham crackers in this marshmallow roast. Even in a dream sequence, that's a sin. Mr. Price, I am not impressed with your Two-Face cosplay.
Hasn't anyone ever told you not to fall asleep with a lit cigarette? You could start a fire.
You're one to talk, Dragonborn.
Car and money? Anything else you'd like?
Luckily, there's no rush.
Says the girl who was eager to leave Arcadia Bay and said there was nothing keeping her here anymore.
There's nothing keeping me here.
Not anymore.
Wasted opportunity for a lap pillow. You're supposed to run towards first base, not away from it.
Tell me all about what it's like being daughter of Arcadia Bay's most famous scumbag.
I thought the Prescotts were the most famous scumbags in Arcadia Bay. You know, since they pretty much own Blackwell and half the town.
I've got a notebook in the back somewhere. Go get it for me, would you?
Chloe, we have some urgent business to discuss, but first perform this game's version of a fetch quest, even though I should have gotten that book beforehand. Looping Road. Frank actually has a cabinet full of beans. Well, at least somebody embraces their shitty memes.
Aw, shit! Pompidou, get up here!
Wait a minute. In episode 4 of Life is Strange, Max has a conversation with Frank about his dog, and if Max knows the dog's name, then Frank will question how Max knows that. Yet, Frank just said the dog's name in front of Chloe here. And since this is a prequel, Chloe could have easily told Max that the dog's name is Pompidou. Heh. My memory isn't completely garbage after all. Speaking of inconsistency, there was a whole subplot in the original Life is Strange where you had to find Frank's logbook, and it contained code names for his customers. Yet here, he's using their actual names.
Okay then. Hand over the cash you stole at the mill, and we'll call it square.
If you pay off Frank here, Chloe will still be in debt. Plus, she'll accept a job and only get 10% of the cut, even though she does all the work. You need to know how to negotiate, girl.
Open my notebook. Last page.
That is not the last page.
$100 closer to leaving Arcadia Bay.
Girl, you won't even be able to get your truck street legal with $100.
How's my future looking?
Bright and sunny.
Wah, wah.
And Nathan is Caliban? There's so much depth there.
Right. Depth.
These two characters casually speak about the one thing this game is sorely lacking. You know, for a guy who's supposedly an expert photographer, even at this point in time, Evan is in a really crappy position. He's got a shovel and a pile of dirt in the way of his subject, and he's facing towards the light. He should be in the shaded area so that he could get more dynamic range. Come on now, even my dumbass knows basic photography skills.
Usually I can see both what people want me to see and what they want to keep hidden.
Yet another reason why this game should have been delayed to get the original voice actors back. Samuel went from sounding like your friendly neighborhood Mr. Rogers to full-blown sexual predator.
Are you angry all the time because you like the way it feels? Or is it merely a desperate defense against experiencing true intimacy with others?
Samuel is starting to sound suspiciously like somebody who hacked into my psychological profile.
A great heart he has, with much love and no room for fear.
Apparently, Samuel went to the William Shatner School of Voice Acting. Well, this is one of the most absurd puzzles I've ever encountered. Scaring off a bird from 4 conveniently placed seed piles just to get Evan out of our crosshairs so that we can damage a sprinkler to distract Samuel and steal his keys. This marks the second time in this series where we've had to use Samuel to sneak into the dorms. Cleverness is certainly in short supply in Arcadia Bay.
I really can't just let you go in.
Game misses a perfect opportunity to let a choice from the previous episode take effect. If you told Skip his demo was awesome, then he would just ignore your trespassing and let you buy. And if you didn't like his demo, then he'd hassle you. But you're stuck with a manic depressive Tumblr blogger mechanic either way.
What's my official business?
Women's business, Skip. As in, my uterus? I need to use the restroom.
And I came all the way here to the school where I just got suspended/expelled, and I was about to enter the boys' dormitory that was locked until you exited. Skip actually falls for this.
You're sorry?
You just looked at my tits. You did. You stared right at them.
Game, can you turn the creep factor down a little bit? I don't need a blue square over my house on Google Maps.
Matthews.
I'm here?
I've gotten reports of an unknown vehicle in the parking lot.
Well, that's convenient. Wait a minute. I just remembered something. This is not the boys' dormitories. In fact, this is the exact same layout as the girls' dormitories from the previous game, repurposed to suit this game's plot. Thought you could get away with rehashing level design, didn't you? Haha, not so subtle foreshadowing. Jock only cares about sports cliche.
Chloe? What are you doing here?
Game is missing the I want to play some more D&D option.
Stay in here. And don't say anything, little brother.
But you just told him to pack his stuff and leave.
Mikey, get your stuff. Let's move.
What was the whole point of us attempting to retrieve the money if Damon was just going to arrive and collect it himself? Frank said that Damon lost a lot of money when the mill burned down, meaning there was an almost 100% chance that Damon was going to hunt down anybody who owed him. So essentially, Frank sent us on a mission that he knew was going to be a complete waste of time to begin with. Also, where the hell was Skip this entire time? He was called because of a suspicious vehicle in the parking lot, yet he didn't think to backtrack to the boys' boys' dormitory where Chloe was performing some equally suspicious behavior? No worries, Drew. It's my job to regularly collect money from Blackwell students for a hyper-aggressive drug dealer.
That's some shameless eavesdropping there, Samantha.
Agreed, but what's more sinful is that the Prescotts thought they could have a private conversation this close to the dressing rooms.
I don't know who you are, but mind your own business.
I'd love to. Don't you have, like, a private bunker filled with gold coins where you could have these conversations?
Wah, wah, wah. I see that Blackwell students have upgraded their crimes from petty pranks to potential murder.
I need to find whatever Victoria slipped into that drink.
Or you could just dump it out like any reasonable person would do, which you never do, by the way. Oh, game, you never cease to fail me. Even if you didn't support Rachel and got her removed from the play, and even if you supported Victoria in her efforts to take the lead role, Victoria will still end up drugged and passed out. Rachel will be part of the play no matter what. I am so glad that I play through multiple paths for these videos, so that I can prove how full of shit these types of games really are.
My dear young artists, a misfortune most unkind has befallen us. Juliet is waylaid. Alas, devoid of an understudy, the situation is a dire one indeed. I'm afraid we may have to cancel.
Life is Strange all of a sudden turns into a sitcom plot. Rather convenient that Juliet is the only person in this play who is missing and doesn't have an understudy.
No.
Mr. Keaton.
No.
Chloe could step in for Juliet.
Mr. Keaton is convinced to allow Chloe to temporarily step in for Juliet, even though Chloe is suspended/expelled from Blackwell.
Hey kids, who wants to dress up like Big Bird's fugly cousin? I wouldn't be cut dead in this.
I boarded the king's ship. In every cabin, I flamed amazement.
This scene, just most of it. I mean, it was amusing for me because I used to work in theater, but the cringe is almost at critical levels.
Not a hair perished, and as thou baddest me, I have dispersed them about the isle.
Nobody in the audience has booed yet.
Spirit, take my hands. Most faithful friend, for but a little longer I beseech, I'll seek to make thy happiness so great that e'en the name of liberty's forgot. What sayest thou to my most hopeful wish?
Game does not include a reject Rachel option. If they did, then not even with a lemon-scented Clorox bleach could you wipe the troll face grin off my face.
What about money?
I thought you were a high-rolling criminal now.
She was running an errand for her drug dealer. That does not constitute as a high-rolling criminal. Why is taking Rachel's bracelet an option here? There was a whole conflict in episode 2 of the previous game where Chloe got upset with Frank because he was wearing Rachel's bracelet. So how could she be upset with Frank if she took Rachel's bracelet here?
What is this?
Oh, I don't know. It couldn't possibly be ash from the fire that's been burning for the past day now.
Chloe, you must join us for dinner tonight.
There should have been an option that said, no thanks, I'm full from eating out your daughter. You wouldn't be able to stop me from laughing my ass off if that were the case.
And, Chloe, we just need to make it through dinner. Try not to say anything that,
That I would normally say.
These two try to have a subtle conversation an arm's length away from Rachel's dad.
What do you think? I thought Rachel was perfectly cast.
She certainly was. We're very proud of her. I had no idea they were going to do that.
You know what? That's it. I've had it with this voice acting. Developers, are you sure you didn't just use text-to-speech? Because it sounds like you might as well have. In fact, text-to-speech just might sound more believable. Let's test it out, shall we?
What do you think? I thought Rachel was perfectly cast.
She certainly was. We're very proud of her. I had no idea they were going to do that.
If this text is accurate, the Ambers are having dinner at 10:38 at night. I don't even eat that late, and I'm a night owl. These are regular people with normal jobs. That is some funky looking milk you got there. I wasn't aware that people drank laundry detergent for their fuel.
I guess I'm not so into saying words someone else came up with.
She's not talking about the Tempest play.
Then again, I'm not sure you can judge the entire art form based on the dead white men your curriculum focuses on.
The fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, you thought that Life is Strange gameplay couldn't get any more hype than Dress Up Simulator. Now, prepare yourselves for the pulse-pounding action of Kill Kitchen Maid Simulator. Woo, 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 woo.
They say a fire like that could only come from a crime of passion.
Passion? What does that mean?
Siri, define passion for me.
Passion means strong and barely controllable emotion.
You're welcome, Mr. Amber. You'll notice that throughout this argument, the candlelight intensifies as Rachel gets more angry. It is as I suspected. Rachel is the Dragonborn confirmed. The Passion Fire skill has now been upgraded and does an additional 8,600 damage.
Rachel, that woman you saw, that wasn't my mistress. That was your mother.
One of the weakest plot twists ever. Daredevil could have seen that coming a mile away. Damon left his hand bloodied all day just so he could leave this symbolic fingerprint for us, the player. It never occurred to him, man, I should really wash my hands after I beat the hell out of somebody. Your so-called cleverness consistently disappoints me. Why are they wasting time trying to make Samantha a positive influence on Nathan? We already know that Nathan is mentally unstable due to the abuse from his dad, and we got a good glimpse of that. That was enough. This is a waste of a subplot. Apparently there was some strong drugs at that dinner, because I don't see how Mr. Amber is able to cast illusions. Well, at least we know why that milk looked funky. It was a time potion. But that's not what's sinful. What's sinful is how the game nonchalantly glosses over how this is all possible. Once this scene is done, it is never brought up again. These dance moves. If the man is still in the gown, the woman would not be standing up after she gives birth. And if that's not the case, why would the man still be wearing the gown days after the birth? Rachel, I hate to tell you that your mother is a walking cliche who cares more about her drug addiction than her own daughter. It's just a shame you had to learn about this in a flashback instead of talking to her about it in the present. Ah, so this is what Dr. Disrespect is like.
But she didn't get to just decide one day to be a mother.
From what I just saw, all Sarah did was OD. Mr. Amber's making it seem like Sarah left Rachel in a dumpster. Also, when did Before the Storm all of a sudden turn into Rachel Amber's backstory, the game, instead of the relationship between Chloe and Rachel? This is quite the detour the game is taking.
But Rachel's not a baby anymore.
Listen to me. Sarah brought criminals and drug dealers into our home.
Mr. Amber claims that Sarah brought her criminal friends into his home. However, just a few minutes ago, he said that he's been sending her money every month.
I send her money. Every single month.
Why would Sarah go to his home if he's been sending her money? And how would Rachel not know about it? All of this didn't happen when Rachel was a kid because the game already established that Sarah had left town for a while.
There are many painful things about Rachel's past, including my own role in hiding the truth.
You know what? I think it's time for some more text-to-speech.
There are many painful things about Rachel's past, including my own role in hiding the truth.
Even you, Willie, couldn't come up with the tragedy Rachel's going through.
Foreshadow irony. Behold Chloe's ultimate superpower, teleportation.
What's wrong? Don't you see anything?
Well, it only took us 3 episodes to get to the strange part of Life is Strange Before the Storm. This is the worst episode of Improv Everywhere that I've ever witnessed.
Look at me, sweetheart. It's going to be okay.
The it's gonna be okay when it's really not cliche.
Dad!
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I had a pretty good chuckle out of that one. So much so that I'll go ahead and reduce a sin.
Okay, I've got 2 hours to kill. A shower would be fucking amazing.
Do you really need to take a shower before you go to the junkyard to fix a truck? Why the hell did this suddenly turn into a David Cage game? Only one blue streak, for some reason. I don't know what's more sinful, the fact that Chloe is attempting to wear her dead father's clothes or the fact that her dead father's clothes actually fit her, even though he was a pretty built man. Yeah, sin either way.
I'm flipping them over.
Not yet. I told you, 3 minutes each side.
What the fuck kind of pancakes are you making if you gotta wait 3 minutes for each side?
Chloe, your hair. When did you... Was this for the play?
Joyce and David were so overwhelmed with joy that they didn't hear the shower running when Chloe was getting cleaned.
You should feel comfortable here, Chloe. David's not going to question you. And neither am I.
Interesting, seeing as how he does nothing but question her in Life is Strange. I am very curious as to how David went from a reasonable, fleshed-out character in this game to paranoid and borderline abusive in Life is Strange. Unfortunately, this game will never cover those bases.
David looks so young.
Are you kidding me? He looks like J. Jonah Jameson, who's ecstatic that he finally got a picture of Spider-Man. Convenient car manual is convenient. Chloe, I don't think you're going to be able to clean a fuel filter by treating it like an NES cartridge. Yes, people, your eyes do not deceive you. There is a truck with a tank of gas in a junkyard, and all it needed was a battery and a few extra tweaks. Now that's a plot vehicle if I ever saw one.
Why is it that chicks think it's okay to hit me? But if I lay a single finger on them, suddenly, it's a whole other thing.
Oh, I don't know. It couldn't possibly be the fact that you just grabbed Chloe's arm in a threatening manner, and that you're basically a grown man threatening a couple of teenagers. But sure, go ahead and blame society for your problems. Plus, Rachel pushed you. She didn't hit you.
See, you two Nancy Drews decided it would be a good idea to...
Making a Nancy Drew reference in a game that takes place in 2010. Next thing I know, you're going to be making a Hardy Boys reference. Oh wait. Damon, you better watch out for Rachel's Dragonborn powers. She was able to knock down Frank even though she didn't hit him. Oh, that's adorable, game. Thinking you can pull a fast one by making us believe that Rachel dies here when we know that's not the case. The tension is pretty much non-existent if you've played the first game. Man, Frank is such a decent guy here. This is the second time that he saved Chloe from danger. Kinda makes you wonder how he became the reclusive yet volatile individual in Life is Strange. I see that consistency is not high on the priority list.
If you let her meet Sarah in the first place, we wouldn't have had to try something more desperate.
But Chloe, if we did that, then we wouldn't have a game. That would make too much sense. We need to add pointless drama in order to engage the player. I mean, James Amber doesn't want Rachel to meet her biological mother because her biological mother is a drug addict associated with criminals, even though he's the DA and can prosecute against those criminals on behalf of the state and get them convicted since he has files and evidence on them, therefore clearing the way for Rachel to meet Sarah safely and... I'm sorry, my common sense meter was filling up. Where was I again? You know, Drew and Mikey's dad seems to be doing pretty good for a guy who, according to Drew in his dorm room, has lost his job and is now living out of a homeless shelter. You know, I am very disappointed that there was no option to save that candy bar for Rachel or Mikey/Drew. Littering.
Sweet hair, by the way.
I bet you could pull off Sailor Mercury.
That is literally impossible. Chloe doesn't have giant anime eyes, nor does she have Ami's personality. Oh yeah, buddy! They brought back the D&D section. The developers understand what the real attraction is for this game, and it's longer too. A commendable effort, I say. So commendable that I'll just go ahead and take off 5 sins.
Rachel, I'm sorry. What? What for?
Geez, now I understand why this episode feels so slow. These characters are talking like they got roofied and are slowly slipping into a coma.
Our house key's just under the mat.
The freaking district attorney hides his spare key underneath the mat. I don't even do that, and I'm nowhere near DA status. I didn't think it was possible for Elliot to sink any lower than permanent friend zone resident, but he did. He might as well just say, hey Chloe, I didn't get the chance to give you my wiener, so here it is.
Hello?
Chloe says hello when she knows that James and Rose are at the hospital. What was the whole point of telling us the passcode if Chloe was just going to type it in during a cutscene? Were they afraid that players were incapable of using their brains?
James sure keeps lots of files on people.
I know, right? Almost as if he's the district attorney or something.
James is working with Damon Merrick? This is insane.
It is indeed, Chloe. Preventing your daughter from meeting her real mother because her real mother is a drug addict and a criminal. Yet you're going to use criminals to keep the mother in check, even though one of those criminals is the reason why your daughter is in a hospital and almost died. Yep, that is quite illogical.
Hope James actually has this evidence. Don't think Damon will tell me where Sarah is. Unless I send him a picture.
Yes, Damon, let's destroy the evidence, because it's not like we have those records on file. Also, the DA would not keep evidence in his own home, even if it is code locked. Chloe burns a glove in a wooden basket, then closes the window, making the room more smoky. Oh, and did I mention she left the front door open for anybody to enter? Apparently Chloe all of a sudden became retarded. Money hidden behind a bookshelf cliche.
Elliot, just take a step back.
No! You need to listen to me. What has your relationship with her gotten you?
Elliot has now become the perfect portrait of nice guy syndrome, and that's not a compliment.
Dude, you know you sound a little stalkerish right now.
Stalking is defined as repeated unwanted interactions.
Only a stalker would know the definition of stalking. Also, stalking.
I'm the one who cares about you, Chloe. Me, not Rachel. It's time you saw the truth.
What does that mean?
It means you're going to stop thinking about Rachel and pay attention to me now. For once.
Wow, did they actually base this character off of Elliot Rodger? Is that why he's called Elliot? Man, you have sunken so low you might as well be playing tetherball with Lucifer. Guess they had to force this stupid subplot in here somehow. You really gotta admire the response time of Arcadia Bay's police department, especially when they're given the most vague emergency call possible. Man, if only the fire department was as quick. Ironic near death. So apparently Chloe is officially losing her mind, seeing as how she's imagining her father outside of a dream, even though as far as we know, she hasn't been taking any hallucinogenic drugs. Gotta love how all of the surrounding trees have been incinerated, yet the mill, which is also made out of wood, is still somewhat intact.
Everything's going to be just fine. Just a little longer, and all your troubles are going bye-bye.
I see that Damon employs the classic villain cliche of torturing an enemy instead of outright killing them, thus giving the protagonist time to swoop in and save the day.
Jesus. So that's what he's worried about. Can't let the public know. The mother of his daughter is some junkie.
Yeah, so then he hired a criminal to do his dirty work, even though the criminal is now the reason why his daughter is in the hospital. And the criminal knows he's shady and could turn on him at any moment, yet he still works for him. Come on, guys, I've seen fan fiction written better than this. Frank decides to show up only now, even though his RV was here when we first arrived. And you can't really say he was nursing his wounds since he still shows up in pain. What's most sinful about this scene is that the following conversation turns out to be real. This is not a hallucination in Chloe's head. All the talk about Sarah wanting to meet Rachel is going to be completely contradicted. She even says not 5 minutes prior that she's wanted to meet Rachel.
I just want to meet my daughter.
Yet for some reason, the game insists on bogging down this episode with an ultimately pointless conversation.
Rachel deserves a loving father. A father who cares for her.
James is a liar.
James is a desperate man who loves his daughter.
James worked with a criminal who ended up stabbing and nearly killing his daughter. Whatever moral high ground he thought he had is now completely lost. His plan has failed, and by now he realizes that Rachel will stop at nothing to meet her mother. He will be screwed either way. So basically what I'm saying is Sarah's argument is invalid and this entire scene is complete bullshit.
Don't you think the truth matters more?
The truth? What's so great about the truth?
It'll set you free, you'll have nothing to hide, therefore you don't need to live in fear, and you'll reach a level of peace and tranquility that most people never get to in their entire lives. Seems like a pretty simple answer if you ask me.
Let me give her the father she deserves. The one who raised her. Protected her.
The father who continues to lie to her and therefore is bringing more pain to her than he intends and is only making things worse by continuing to lie. The father who has already failed in his plan to keep his daughter safe. Why does it feel like we're going in circles with this argument?
What you have to decide is whether you're going to protect Rachel or cause her even more hurt.
Well, she's gonna end up dead because of some psycho art teacher regardless of what we do, so it doesn't matter. Did I forget to mention this is why prequels are a waste of time? Oh, and did I mention that Rachel has been wanting to leave Arcadia Bay since the first episode, before she learned about her father's lies? Frank and Damon's brawl was so memorable that they literally fought each other out of the script. Most meaningless decision ever. No matter which option you choose, you're still going to get the montage of Chloe and Rachel's adventures, which is what this game should have been about from the get-go. We won't see any glimpse of Rachel and Frank's love affair, and the only mention of Jefferson we'll get is this tacky after-credits scene. Basically, this entire game, wasted potential. Staring off into the sunset cliche.
Fuego utero, Skip. En fuego utero.